The Archangel Chronicles 2, Chapter 17, Rachel's Cry, by Raymond Collotti. Copyright 2025, all rights reserved.
He built his walls against the wind, he paved the sea with stone. He called the stars his witnesses, yet died unloved alone. The marble drank his sleepless breath, the crown became his claim, and every step upon his floors echoed one name, one name. Oh, Herod, King of ashes, your throne is cold tonight. The worms you feared are growing now beneath the waning light. You ruled the world of dust and bone, but mercy would not keep. Oh, builder of the temple walls, the king who could not sleep. His queen returned in midnight flame, her beauty pale as glass. She kissed him with a ghostly light and watched the daylight pass. His sons stood bound in chains of gold, their voices lost to years, and still he reigned above their graves through fever, smoke, and tears. Oh, Herod, King of ashes, your throne is cold tonight. The worms you feared are brewing now beneath the waning light. You ruled the world of dust and bone, but mercy would not keep. Oh, builder of the temple walls, the king who could not sleep. The star of curse still burns above, unmoved by crown or blade. It shines upon the child you feared and all the world you made. No fortress guards the guilty heart, no gate can hold the dawn. The lie you sought to silence is the light that carries on. Oh, Herod, King of ashes, the dawn forgets your name. The child you feared is waking now. The world is not the same. You built in stone, but love will build where giants cannot keep. Sleep now, restless shadow, the king who could not sleep. Oh.
Sophia. That night, sleep came to me not as rest, but as a tide. The murmuring wind folded over me, and I felt myself lifted beyond the tents and the stars into a stillness vast and bright. The world fell away like a garment. Then I saw again the cave of Bethlehem, but it was no longer bound by time. The child lay in the manger, yet the straw beneath him shimmered like hammered gold, and the air was alive with the breath of unseen wings. Mary knelt beside him, yet her face was veiled in light, so fierce and tender that I could not bear to look upon it. The child stirred, and his gaze met mine. He was no longer a babe, yet not grown. His form was as shifting as the flames of a lamp. His eyes held the calm of eternity, and when he opened his mouth, I thought I heard all the voices of creation speaking as one. Sophia, he said, and the sound of my name was like a bell ringing across the ages. You have sought wisdom among scrolls and stars, but wisdom is love that suffers and endures. The path before you will not lead back to the halls of men, but through the heart. of the world's sorrow. I then saw a procession of visions, swift and terrible, a tree rising upon a hill, its branches crimsoned with light, a mother's tears upon the dust of a road, a cross of rough wood silhouetted against the sun, and the child, grown now, walking into darkness, yet crowned with radiance that no shadow could consume. I fell to my knees weeping, for I knew what it meant, that this peace we had found was the beginning of a great wounding, that his light would pierce not only the dark, but the hearts of all who beheld it. Then the vision widened, and I saw each of the star-bearers upon their separate roads, Melchior returning eastward with a pale dawn, his gold gone, his soul alight with prophecy, Balthazar by the shores of the southern sea, tending the sick and poor, his incense rising as a smoke of prayer, Gondophares casting aside his armor in a foreign land, building not fortresses but wells, Axia teaching her son to rule in peace, the circlet of sky metal now a relic of renounced power, Loukia walking with her mother, singing songs that would become memory and hope for generations, and Adam standing alone in a place I could not name, holding a small flame in his hands as the world around him darkened, yet the flame did not die. I saw Rachel, the mother of Israel, wandering among the houses of a shattered town, her veil torn, her hands outstretched. She wept with the mothers, her voice joining the stars, her lament echoing through the valleys. They are no more. My children are no more. When I turned again to the child, he smiled. The light behind him grew until it filled all that was, and in that brightness I heard the final words, "Be not afraid, Sophia. The star you followed has entered the heart of the world. Wherever love bears suffering, there I am." I awoke before dawn. The camp was still, the embers low, but above the ridge of Bethlehem the star was gone, and in its place the first thin line of morning rose. I pressed my hand to the earth and felt it alive beneath me. I understood then that the journey of the star-bearers was not ended, but begun, for the child had set his light within us to carry through all our wanderings. The others still slept, Melchior with his cloak drawn over his head, Balthazar seated in silent prayer, Gondophares lying with one arm over his eyes as though guarding the dream of peace. Loukia and Calliope slept close together, mother and daughter breathing as one. But Adam was awake. He stood apart from us on a rise overlooking the valley, his cloak gathered tight against the cold. The wind drifted his white-streaked hair, and the dawn cast a faint fire along his face. He looked not eastward toward the light, but west toward the hills of that led back into shadow. I approached quietly, for I knew his solitude was not one of peace. When he turned, his eyes were haunted but kind. "You dreamed," he said before I could speak. "I saw your face in the night. You murmured the child's name." I nodded. "Yes, and you?" He hesitated. "Not a dream as men dream," he said slowly, "but a vision half remembered, like something I once saw and shall see again." We sat upon the rocks, and I told him all. The child's gaze, the voice that called me by name, The visions of the cross, the scattered companions, the promise of love that would suffer and endure. As I spoke, his hands clenched, and I saw tears gathering beneath his lashes. When I'd finished, he whispered, "Sophia, I have seen that cross." He turned his gaze upon me, no longer the calm physician from Alexandria, but a man burdened by foreknowledge. It stands upon a hill they call Golgotha. I have seen it carved in books, raised in stone, worn upon men's necks as a sign of hope, but also of death. I thought it was only a symbol. Now I know it is real, and it belongs here. I felt the wind still around us, as if even the morning dared not intrude. "Then you believe this child is whom you have worshipped in your world?" I asked. He nodded. "Yes, the same light, the same gaze. I do not understand how time can bend so, but his face, it is the face that watches over all creatures." A silence fell. The village below began to stir, the cry of a cock, the clatter of a jar at a well. I looked towards Bethlehem's roofs, where the smoke of the first fires rose pale in the dawn. "What are we to do now?" I asked. He smiled faintly, though sorrow shadowed his eyes. "Do what all must do when they have seen the truth," he said. "Carry it, even if the world falls apart." He looked once more towards the hills, then turned back to me. "In your dreams, Sophia, the child said that love must suffer and endure. I think that is the path we both must walk, each in our own age." These words pierced my heart like a dagger. I took his hand, and we sat in silence as the sun rose fully over the ridge, touching Bethlehem with its first light. The stable roof gleamed for a heartbeat, then faded into the brightness of the day. And I thought, the star has not vanished. It has entered our hearts. It was in the last hour before dawn that Joseph came to us. His face was pale in the starlight, but his voice was steady. "The angel of the Lord has spoken," he said. "We must depart before the light returns." He told us about his dream. That night the wind had grown still. The small house where they lodged on the edge of Bethlehem lay hushed beneath a veil of stars. The child slept, and the mother with him, her face faintly illuminated by the lamp's last flame. Joseph sat apart, his head bowed upon his hands, weariness and vigilance struggling in his heart. It was then, he told us, that sleep overcame him, but no common sleep, one heavy with awe. "I saw," he said, "a brightness entering the darkness as though the roof itself had opened. Yet the light was not of fire, nor of the sun. It was alive and moved with breath. And in the midst of it stood one whom I knew, though I'd never seen his like before. His presence silenced my fear. He was the same who had once spoken to me in Nazareth when doubt had crushed me like a stone. Gabriel, the messenger of the Most High." Joseph's voice faltered as he remembered. "He called me by my name, not as men call, but as heaven calls, so that my whole being stirred. 'Joseph, son of David,' he said, 'arise, take the child and his mother and flee into Egypt. Herod seeks the child to destroy him. Delay not, and look not behind you until you are beyond his reach. There you shall remain until I tell you.' Then Joseph said that the light grew still brighter, but it no longer shone upon him alone. It seemed to wrap around the sleeping child, a radiance like dawn breaking over a hidden world. And as he looked, he saw beneath that light the shadow of wings, vast and silent, guarding the house. I awoke, trembling, he said, and the air still glowed faintly, as if the dream had not ended. I went to her, Mary, and told her all. She rose without question. Her eyes held no fear, only understanding. We gathered what we had, the gifts the Magi among them, and made ready before the cock crowed. Joseph's face, when he told me this, was transfigured by both sorrow and certainty. He spoke as one who had heard eternity whisper. His obedience was his faith his courage. We who listened could feel the nearness of that same unseen light that had entered his dream. And Adam, standing by the doorway, said softly, "So the light moves from star to dream, from heaven to heart. The message travels as the breath of God unbroken." Now the rest of our company gathered in silence, for none doubted the truth of his words. In the distance, Bethlehem slept, its narrow lanes filled with the breath of beasts and men, its hearths dark. Yet there was a stirring in the air, as though the heavens themselves held their breath. Adam fetched the camel that had carried the gifts of Balthazar and Melchior, and laid across its back the small bundles of food and water. The gold, frankincense, and myrrh we divided carefully, some for their journey, the rest to be hidden against pursuit. Axia's men moved with quiet skill, loosening the tethered animals, muffling bridles and hooves in rags. Loukia wrapped her cloak about Mary's shoulders, murmuring a few lines from one of her songs. Night is a womb, and dawn its child walks softly where angels have smiled. Mary smiled faintly, her gaze distant, luminous. The child stirred in her arms, and for a moment all our hearts stilled. The air grew warmer, and the faintest scent of myrrh seemed to rise as though the earth itself blessed their going. Axia, tall and grave, carrying her infant son in one arm, unwrapped the circlet of sky metal she had surrendered days before with her free hand, and pressed it into Joseph's hands. "Take this," she said, "not as a crown, but as a shield. It was forged beneath stars that do not die." She turned slowly to the rest of us, looking for Loukia and her mother. Seeing them, she called out to her, "Come forth, child, and you too, Lady Calliope. I give you a sacred trust, and know that you will fulfill it." She handed her son, bundled and sleeping peacefully, to Loukia and her mother. Loukia, with a radiant smile, took the child tenderly in her arms. She turned to her mother, who nodded and embraced them both. "We must take our riders and go to the star child now. We will return, but until we do, take care of this boy child, the treasure of our nation. Comfort him and soothe him in our absence." Our stallion went to Joseph. He lifted his spear and held it upright in the starlight. "We will watch from afar until you are safe beyond the ridge," he vowed. "They will not pass to harm you. Go now in peace." Adam stepped forward and placed his hand upon Joseph's arm. "Go quickly," he said. "The shadow follows close behind. We know this. The light that guided us to Bethlehem will not forsake you. It will go before you through the desert as it went before us through the sea." Joseph looked at him long, as if seeing something known but hidden. "You speak as one who has seen the days to come," he said. Adam bowed his head. "I have seen the pattern of the world in the child who will mend it." Adam went to Mary and gently laid his hand on her shoulder. He bowed and wept. But you, O Mother of the New World, you know this, and you know what will come of this star child, both great sorrow and joy. Through you, he has come and will change us all, he said through his tears. Mary looked at him, her eyes shining with understanding. She reached out and rested her hand on Adam's head as in a blessing. And you as well, Adam, well named. The angels sent you here in our hour of need. They departed as the eastern sky began to pale. The donkey carried the mother and the child. Joseph walked beside, and a few camels in tow carrying all their belongings. From the low rise beyond the village, the rest of us watched. The morning star still shone, hovering above the southern path, moving as they went. And so they vanished into the wilderness towards Egypt, bearing the hope of the world in their arms. We remained until their footprints faded, and then we knelt, for in that hour we knew our pilgrimage was not ended but transformed. The star had descended to earth, and now the earth itself became the sky. Nicolaus. In the palace, the night air was heavy with the smell of sweat and sickness. Lamps hissed in the corners, their oil nearly spent. From the upper windows, one could see the moon trembling. Within, Herod our king lay among the silks, his skin gray as parchment, his breath scraping through his teeth. Around him hung the smell and rot of myrrh and of power dying. Herod lay restless upon his couch, his mind gnawed by dreams. For too many nights he had been haunted by a voice crying in the dark, "The king is born." He would wake up in a sweat, clutching his chest, muttering of crowns and betrayal. When the Magi did not return to him, his fury grew. I was cautious, urging patience, but patience had fled this old king long ago. Messengers came and went, trembling. The astrologists were summoned, beaten, and dismissed. I sat by his side and watched and wrote, or rather tried to, while the king drifted in and out of sleep and visions. Before us, kneeling on the marbled floor, stood the tall shadow of Brigomarus. His mailed armor caught the lamplight like scales of a dark fish. He had been summoned. Now he waited for his orders. The king spoke in a broken voice, half raving. "They conspire, all of them, sons, priests, prophets, even the children. Yes, even they will rise up against me. This star I cannot see burns over Bethlehem, and they whisper of a child. I know this to be the ruin of my house. Shall a babe cast me down? Is there no end to the mockery of heaven?" "My lord, it is fever," I said, struggling to keep my voice soothing. "The heavens have no quarrel with you. Rest, and the fever will pass." Herod turned his eyes upon me, still fierce, though the body had become a ruin. "Fever? You call Rome's dread a fever? You tell me about the sign, Nicolaus, the fire in the east, the murmurs in the streets. Bethlehem breeds rebellion, a crown in a cradle." He struck the couch with a trembling hand, and then, half turning towards the strategos, he cried, "Brigomarus!" The Galatian stepped forward and knelt again. The torches shuddered in their sconces. He bowed once, a soldier's bow, precise, wordless, my king. Herod's voice deepened, ragged but commanding still. Take your men, go to Bethlehem and surround the villages. Every male child 2 years and under, strike them down. Let the mothers wail. I will drown their cries in gold. There shall be no rival born while I draw breath. Brigomarus staggered to his feet. Sire, this is madness. The blood of innocents will curse your name forever. What power can be founded on such a ruin? A deadly pall, like a mask, came over the king's face. His eyes flashed fire. Power is not founded, fool. It is seized and guarded by fear. His face twisted into a sneer, and he leaned forward. You are my instrument, my sword, my whip. Why do you hesitate? Herod clawed at the air and then struck the couch with his fist. Summoning all his strength, he stood, backlit by the flickering torches and lamplights, looking like a figure from hell itself. He pointed to Brigomarus and commanded, his voice turning unnaturally deep, seeming to come from somewhere else. You will go, you will take riders, take spearmen, take archers, take swordsmen. You will go to Bethlehem and its whereabouts. Every son, 2 years and under, you will cut down. Leave not one to breathe. If a star heralds a king, then let it weep over a field of corpses. I sprang to my feet, stepping in front of Brigomarus. I sank to my knees, bowing until my forehead touched the floor at the king's feet. My lord, I beg you do not give this order. This will stain your reign in blood darker than any of your beloved Mariamne, darker than your sons. This would curse your name, posterity. In a rage, Herod reached for a lampstand and with unnatural strength raised it over his head and struck me again and again with it, raging, Posterity? Shall I live for dust and scribes? I live for power, for the fear that binds men's tongues. Enough! He thrust me aside with his foot. Brigomarus, obey! The Galatian's jaw tightened. For a long moment, he was silent, the weight of his sword heavy at his hip. I will serve my oath, he said at last. Herod leaned back, spent, and sat down. His lips curled into a cruel, ghastly smile. Then go, make the heavens be silent. Brigomarus saluted, turned, and left the chamber, his black cloak swirling behind him as if caught by a dark wind. The sound of his hobnailed boots echoed in the chamber as he receded into the shadows. I was alone with the king, lying on my side, soaked in lamp oil. I looked up at him, who now sprawled upon his silks, the fever taking him back into its embrace. The stench of corruption and incense choked me. I wept. May the gods forgive me, I whispered, for history will not. And so it was this way the strategos of the Gallic Guard, born efficient, loyal to pay rather than piety, became the terrible instrument of Herod's depravity, the slaughter of the innocents. Brigomarus of Ancria, Herod's sword in hand, at the darkest hour of Bethlehem. Brigomarus. That night, I rode with my troops from the shuttered city of Jerusalem under a blood-red full moon. Our armor clanked and sparked red in the unnatural light. Horses' hooves struck the cobblestones like muted drums. No trumpets sounded, and no heralds cried out our passage. We moved as a plague moves, unseen, until it is too late. I spoke to no one as we rode through the night. I had served many kings and had seen many men slaughtered in my hard life. I had killed without thought, without mercy, and without feeling. But this command chilled me to the bone. What child, I murmured, could bring such fear to a king? Only the wind answered, howling through the trees along the way. We reached Bethlehem at first light. The town lay quiet in the breaking light of dawn. The stone houses and slate roofs huddled like sheep in the gray misty morning. Dogs barked, doors creaked open. Mothers gathered their children and huddled in the corners of their dwellings, sensing something unnatural in the air. We dismount and draw our spears and swords, bracing ourselves for the horror that will come. A sign from me deploys the regiment, each man moving swiftly to surround the town. A blast from a trumpet pierces the still air like a dagger. Orders are shouted, and the circle of heavily armed troops begins to move in like a noose around a prisoner's neck. The circle constricts and constricts yet again, so there is no space between the troops to escape. Another company now moves inside the circle from building to building. Doors are smashed. Agonized cries are heard as children and babies held by mothers are dragging out, screaming and crying in terror. They are shepherded, driven, pushed and prodded with blows and whips from the soldiers from their homes and assembled in a courtyard surrounded by high walls. Men, fathers, older sons, and grandfathers are cut down if they interfered, or beaten, senseless, and left in a bloody trail through the narrow streets. Several hundred children and their mothers are crowded into the courtyard, and the gates shut. Inside the courtyard, wailing, crying, and screaming pierced the air like arrows. Guards were posted, and none were let in or out. I dispatched several squadrons of cavalry to more remote outlying areas to search and bring back any other children under 2 years of age. I dreaded what I knew would come next. No longer remembered as strategos of the guard, I would become the butcher of a mad king. Sophia. When the last glimmer of their torches had vanished into the hollow of the valley, we stood up on the ridge in silence. The air trembled with a strange stillness that followed an angel's passing. No wind, no cry of any bird, only the whisper of grass as it shifted in the wind. Melchior spoke first, low and measured. They are gone now beyond our guard. Soon the storm will break upon us. As the dawn widened, a dust cloud arose from the north. The faint sound of hooves, horses neighing, the glint of steel helmets, and the cry of soldiers revealed the danger. I heard the familiar cry of Targetus' eagle, Zephyria, and I saw her winging swiftly toward the town. Brigomarus. The Taxiarchos, commander of the regiment, came to me and saluted. Kyrios, all is ready. Do you now give us the command? I looked up to the sky. An eagle was circling overhead. A bad omen. The wails and cries of the mothers and their children in the courtyard filled the air. The whole village echoed with the chorus of lamentation. I sat down and took off my helmet. The morning was still very young, the sun not fully risen, but the air was cold, not yet heated by its rays. My hair was soaked and matted with sweat. My body rebelled at the task before me. My limbs felt heavy, and my breath came in spasms. I looked to the heavens, cursing the fates that had brought me to this place and time. I do not know how long I sat there, but at last the officer's voice broke the spell. "Kyrios, your orders." I looked up at him. Backlit by the sun, I raised my hand in a gesture and nodded my head. I could not muster even a sound, but he understood. The Taxiarchos shouted the order, which was echoed as it was passed down the chain of command. The large doors to the courtyard opened with a metallic whine. The soldiers began to lead the children out one by one, with their mothers clutching at them, wailing and screaming. Their moans, their mystery, their screams pierced my soul like hot irons. I covered my ears. The wailing multiplied as infants were dragged from arms, the women begging, clinging, resisting with all the fury of despair. Some others flung themselves upon the hoplite soldiers, scratching at their breastplates, biting and shrieking curses. Others looked desperately for a means of escape. A few charged through the lines of soldiers, knocking some of them down, and fled into the alleys, only to be chased and struck down. Others fell in terror to the ground, tearing at their hair and clinging to one another. Outside the courtyard doors, the infants, screaming and crying, were taken to a side courtyard, where a squad began their cruel work with swords and lances, piercing the poor creatures. Many of the infants were still in swaddling clothes, unable to walk or escape. Others, who were able, tried to run away but were struck down, bleeding. One by one, these little victims were slaughtered. Blood ran over the cobblestones, and their dying cries rose to the heavens, blotting out the sun. One by one, the limp little bodies were grasped by an arm or a leg and flung onto a heap of firewood soaked with paraffin. As this evil work progressed, the cries and screams began to diminish as the spears and swords claimed their victims, leaving only the mournful wailing of the mothers to mark the passing of the poor creatures. When finally the last few tiny bodies were tossed on the pyre, torches lit the soaked firewood, engulfing all in flames, consuming all elements of the existence of these little ones, leaving nothing but a smoking mound, and the population of Bethlehem stricken in despair, reeling from this unimagined cruelty. All this I saw, utterly devoid of any feeling. A sudden gust of wind, a downdraft, blew thick smoke down into the town, choking me. Now I could never make my way back to the land of the living. I, too, was dead. Sophia. A column of smoke arose from the direction of Bethlehem. Then I heard the distant screams, carried on the wind. Alarmed, I looked at Adam. He was weeping. "My love," I said, "what is this?" He turned his face up to me, his eyes rimmed red. In Ramah was there heard a voice, lamentation and weeping and great mourning, Rachel weeping for her children, and would not be comforted, because they are no more. He shook his head slowly. All this I knew was coming. I was powerless to stop it. He looked up at the sky and raised his fists. The heavens will curse this day and those who brought it about. He seized my hands. I tell you, Sophia, so that you may write this down in your scroll. It is the shadow that curses humankind, the shadow that runs through all of us. Where there is a great evil, there also you will find innocent victims. It is the doom of all of us when the soul of those who rule unleash this shadow. Adam looked to Loukia holding Axia's infant. This child is in terrible danger. Herod's men are, after all, male infants under 2 years of age, and worse than that, they will find this child here with the Star Walkers, the Magi. They will mistake him for the Messiah. We must make haste and keep him hidden. Loukia held the child closely as he whispered. The others came to us. Gondophares was the first to speak. We must leave this place. We are not safe here. Let us move towards Egypt, in the hopes that Axia and her horsemen will return from there before this evil is upon us. Hamrath and Balthazar rallied the company. Orders were given, tents were taken down, camels were burdened again with their cargoes. All this was done silently and quickly. We mounted our horses. Oxen pulled at their creaking wagons. Camels with houdas bore me and Loukia and her mother. And we took the road away from Bethlehem, looking anxiously behind us for signs of pursuit. Swaying with the rhythm of the camel, I again heard the familiar cry of Zephyria as she swooped low over the line of our caravan. The great bird circled, keeping time with us, leading us through the wilderness. Beside me, Loukia sat in the houdah. She sat with Axia's infant cradled in her lap. He was sleeping peacefully, gently rocked with the movement of the camel. Her mother Calliope sat beside her serenely, looking into the distance. Loukia raised her head to the sky and sang.
A voice was heard in Ramah.
Rachel weeping for her sons. Her arms are empty cradles, her tears outshine the dawn. No comfort can she gather, no word can still her moan. The mothers cry in Bethlehem, their tears watering the stones. But heaven remembers, though earth turns away. The angels keep vigil where children once lay. Though kings tremble and soldiers obey, heaven remembers what earth casts away. The star that burned in wonder now burns with grief and flame. The sky The shepherd will guard what the tyrants seek. The dawn will come where the tears have been, and love shall rise where the pain has been. For heaven remembers, and mercy will stay. Angels still sing, though the world has lost its way. When the blood of the innocent cries from the clay, heaven remembers, heaven remembers.
Months later, Nicholas wrote me. He said that 3 days after the departure of Brigomarus and his men, following Herod's foul command, a rider returned. He brought no message, only a sword wrapped in blood-stained linen, its edges dark with death. Herod stared long at this weapon now laid across his lap. He looked at Nicholas, his face impassive. Nicholas turned away, left his chamber, and never spoke to Herod again. Nicholas wrote no more about that day, but the mothers of Bethlehem kept their lament, which echoed through the dark halls of Herod's empty palace, haunting him in the dark marches of the night. The voices of sorrow traveled further than any king's decree. Nicholas, said Brigomarus of Ancria, vanished from Judea. Some say he rode north to Damascus, others that he fell upon his own sword. But I know this was not true. His story had a much different ending.
The marble drank his sleepless breath, the crown became his claim, and every step upon his floors echoed one name. Oh, Herod, king of ashes, your throne is cold tonight. The worms you feared are growing now beneath the waning light. You ruled the world of dust and bone, but mercy would not keep. Oh, builder of the temple walls, the king who could not sleep. His queen returned in midnight flame, her beauty pale as glass. She kissed him with a ghostly light and watched the daylight pass. His sons stood bound in chains of gold, their voices lost to years, and still he reigned above their graves through fever, smoke, and tears. Oh, Herod, king of ashes, your throne is cold tonight. The worms you feared are brewing.
Music for Chapter 17, Herod's Lament, lyrics by Raymond Collodi, music and voices by Marika A.I. Heaven Remembers, lyrics by Raymond Collodi, music and voices by Marika A.I. ED Records, Sad Business. From Epidemic Sound, Damien's Dream by Dragon Tamer, Demon Night by Pharrell Wooten, Flight of the Ravens by Edgar Hopp, Forging an Empire by Christopher Mo Ditlevson, Adoration by Spectacles, Wallet and Watch, Keep Asking Me by Francis Wells, Crypta by Joe Wandrini, Monsters Are Real by Dream Cave, Ancient Spells by Luigi Zhao, Chant of the Moors by Flo, From Hell by Christopher Mo Ditlevson, Funeral Pyre by John Algar, Archangel Chronicles 2, copyright 2025 by Raymond Collodi, all rights reserved.
Oh.